Hey, Vistista here, and welcome back to the VDL. Here we are for week 5 against the Alola Araquanids. This is another in-division match in which both of us are currently 2-2, and so this is a very important match for me in order to get my third win of the season and hopefully kind of get into a good position where I can be in the top half of coaches in our division. So here we go. We can see the matchup. And honestly, the matchup is not that bad. They have only a couple of ice resists. The only ice resists are Togedemaru, Crawdont, and Slowbro. And if the ice coverage I'm using is specifically freeze dry, Togedemaru is the only ice resist, which is very good. In addition to that, I have 3 Mons that outspeed every Mon on their team. And in addition to that, I don't really expect to see some of their faster Mons, namely like the Moltres. So I definitely think Mons like Darmanitan can outspeed almost everything on their team outside of the Togedemaru. Um, Other than that, the big thing is basically being able to make sure they don't get in Trick Room. Because if they get in Trick Room, they're going to be very annoying because they have Slowbro and Amoonguss who are at 30 base speed, which is ties for my slowest Mon. And then they have Turtonator and Graplock who have, who are fire and fighting, which are pretty good into my ice team, who are both underspeed every Mon on my team other than Glastrier. And so here we see is the team I decided to bring. I decided to bring Weavile. It's faster fake out than Togedemaru, so it prevents them from leading that as a disruption. I gave it, in addition to that, I gave it Icy Wind so that I can lower its speed. The main reason behind this is I can pair it next to Darmanitan with a lead so that I can Icy Wind the Togedemaru and Darmanitan without speed, and then I can either kill the Togedemaru before it moves or I can kill its partner. I decided to run Choice Band Darmanitan here because I decided the Choice Scarf is not particularly important, and the band gives me some really nice damage rolls, including letting Icicle Crash one-shot Graplock, Stone Edge guaranteeing one-shotting the Turtonator, and the Icicle Crash also guarantee one-shotting Comfy with the Choice Band. Next, we have the Mr. Mime or Mr. Rhyme. The idea with it is we made it pretty bulky. We gave it Akaberry, and the idea is we want to undo Trick Room if they set up Trick Room on their team. We have Freeze Dry, which, like I said, hits everything on their team for at least neutral, and I got Psychic mainly for the Graplock. Next, we have Choppleberry Glastrier. I don't expect really to bring this much, but it is a Mon that can be a little bit good if I have troubles reversing Trick Room with the Mr. Rhyme, and I feel like I should just fight in Trick Room rather than just trying to undo a Trick Room. Next, we have two pretty good Pokemon. These Pokemon are relevant in that they both resist, or not resist, but they both take neutral damage for fire, so they help with the Turtonator, and they both have super effective damage into Turtonator with Rock Blast from the Cloyster and Earth Power from the Aurorus. So Cloyster is pretty nice in the fact that Icicle Spear is pretty much a guaranteed kill on Amoonguss. It depends on their set and their item, but yeah, there's a very good chance it one-shots the Amoonguss. The Pin Missile should pretty much never one-shot the Slowbro, but it should do probably about 70 or 80% into it. And then the Icicle Spear basically just hits very good damage to everything. The Assault Vest lets it hit or take good, take pretty strong hits from certain Mons. And then Aurorus, we got the Battery Berries to guarantee a survive an Iron Head from Togedemaru. The Earth Power helps deal with Togedemaru and Turtonator, and then Ice Coverage is free to the Iron Blizzard for pretty much everything else. So this definitely, I think a pretty good matchup for me, but I, always concerned with them because I can easily bring all 11 of my Mons, and I definitely considered it. But with this, let's get into the match. So here you are for game 1. So looking at their team, they have the exact 6 that I was prepping against and I was expecting to see. And so I definitely want to lead the Weavile Darmanitan and have Mr. Rhyme in the back. And so the big question is do I want the Aurorus or Cloyster? So the plus side of Cloyster is that I believe it does a little bit more consistent damage across the board. Into everything that's not Togedemaru, and so I decided to go with that. I think this is a pretty good lead into pretty much any of their leads, and we can switch it up if I think they're going to change it up. So with that, let's get into the match. So they lead the Amoonguss in Togedemaru, which honestly is a somewhat strange lead in my opinion. I was not expecting this lead specifically. I was expecting maybe like a Slowbro or like a Turtonator as the partner to the Togedemaru. But here, there's not much for me to do other than just fake out the Togedemaru to make sure it doesn't fake out my Darmanitan. I'm debating between Flare Bliss and Icicle Crash into the Moongus. The plus side of Icicle Crash is that it guarantees kills it no matter what, and it just has the stab. But I think there's a good chance that it's Yachi Berry, and so I go with the Flare Blitz. With this, they go with Spiky Shield and Protect, so they go for the double Protect to play around my Fake Out, which makes sense. Sadly, because they have Spiky Shield on the Togedemaru, I do take a little damage and I lose my Focus Sash. And so that definitely can be pretty annoying, but it's not the end of the world. And so here, my plan is just go for Icy Wind. The reason behind this is that Darmanitan is slower than Togedemaru, and I want to make sure it outspeeds. And so I'm debating between Flare Blitzing the Amoonguss again or the Togedemaru. And I decide to go towards the Togedemaru because I think there's a good chance that they're going to switch out the Amoonguss. And in addition to that, I think once Togedemaru's gone, I'm in very good shape, and Weavile or Darmanitan can threaten to one-shot Amoonguss the following turn. So they end up switching out Amoonguss, which is perfect for me. This puts me in an amazing position, since as long as I hit this Icy Wind, I should be able to get the kill on the Togedemaru. And luckily for me, the Icy Wind double connects, doing a little bit of damage to both of them, but namely lowering the speed of Togedemaru, letting Darmanitan outspeed. And with it outspeeding, I get a pretty clean Flare Blitz into it, which is definitely going to kill. Luckily for me, I got a crit here, but the crit definitely didn't matter. I think that Flare Blitz does like 180% damage without the crit. But with that, we take a little bit of recoil, and they get to bring out a new Pokemon. And so they end up bringing out the Amoonguss. And here, I should be able to kill the Amoonguss if I hit all 3 hits of Triple Axle. And so I'm thinking about just triple axing with the Moongus. However, also the Flare Blitz should kill it. And so I'm thinking about maybe switching out the Weavile or switching out the Darmanitan, because the issue is if they just Rage Powder with the Amoonguss, then I waste my attack into if I try to like triple axle the Turtonator and Flare Blitz the Amoonguss. And so it's definitely a little bit tricky because I want Amoonguss to be dead, but I also don't want to waste a Flare Blitz into a Turtonator or anything like that. And so I decided to just go for the triple axle into the Amoonguss and switch out into Mr. Rhyme because it should take a Heat Wave and also gets Fake Out Pressure in case they do something like Shell Smash. And so they end up going for the Rage Powder on the Amoonguss, which is not too surprising. I go for the triple axle, but sadly, I don't even get a single hit with it. And the Heat Wave ends up doing very big damage into both my Mons and proccing my Akaberry. It ends up killing my Weavile, but honestly, it doesn't do too big of damage into the Mr. Rhyme. But unluckily for me, it does get the burn, so that's definitely not the best. And so here I decide to just bring out the Cloyster. I definitely can see an argument for the Darmanitan, but Cloyster's, I decided to lean a little bit towards Cloyster because I think defensively it's a lot better here, and Darmanitan can't really take a Heat Wave, and so even though it might kill the Turtonator, it's going to likely die. And so, however, this Cloyster should be able to take the attack. And so here I decide to just go for the Icicle Spear and the Amoonguss, and I go for the Psychic into the Turtonator. The Psychic does, just does more damage to the Turtonator, and it's probably better for some of the switch-ins. So this Icicle Spear has a pretty good chance of killing Amoonguss with all 5 hits. However, it's definitely dependent on their set. So I ended up not Rage Powdering, and so the Psychic goes into the Turtonator doing very impressive damage and getting the special defense drop, which is not too relevant here. But with this, we get the first hit with the Icicle Spear, and it looks like I'm probably going to kill. We get the second hit, and they end up revealing to be Citrus Berry. And so with that Citrus Berry, it looks really close, but it's hard to tell. I'm not sure if I'm going to get the kill. So we get the third hit. We have two more, and I can see it's literally close to the eyeball. It looks like it's probably a roll here, and we end up getting the kill, which is really nice. I definitely think that's probably a roll. I'm not positive if we're gonna kill if in future matches with S. However, they just go for the heat wave. They end up killing the Mr. Rhyme, but they missed the cloister, which I don't know if that's how relevant that is in actuality, but because I should take it pretty comfortably with the AV. However, definitely nice to get the miss there. And so here we have Darmanitan out, and they end up bringing out the Graplock. I think that Graplock is likely AV. That's my guess. And so, however, I do think that Icicle Crash should one-shot it. Pretty much almost every set, it should one-shot. That's why I have the band instead of something like a Squish Scarf. And the Icicle Spear should kill Turtonator from this range. So Turtonator just goes for the Protect, which makes sense. Icicle Crash goes into the Graplock, and hopefully this kills. Hopefully they're not too bulky, and we get the kill, which is great. I definitely was not too surprised that got the kill, because they would need a fair amount of physical defense in order, in top of being max HP, to be able to take that. And I'm expecting them to be more offensive leaning. And so here we just go for the triple axle. I mean, not the Icicle Spear and the Icicle Crash, and that should definitely get the kill. And we see the Icicle Crash connects, and just the Icicle Crash itself is able to get the kill. So with that, we were able to get game one pretty nice and clean. We could have gotten a little bit nicer with killing the Amoonguss with the triple axle a little bit earlier, but pretty nice. And with that, let's get into the match two. We're here for game two. So one of the things I'm expecting them to do is to be more Slowbro centric this match. And so I definitely want to bring Aurorus, because it's one of my two special attackers, which will do a little bit better into the Slowbro. In addition, Aurorus also has Freeze Dry, which should do very good damage into the Slowbro on top of that, on top of being a special attacker. And so the big question here that I'm kind of debating is whether or not I want to lead Aurorus or Cloyster. The plus side of leading Aurorus is that it does a little bit better into the Togedemaru. The plus side of Cloyster is it does a little bit better into the Moongus, as we saw in the previous game. And so with this, I decided to just stick with these four. And with that, let's get into the match. So they end up leading Togedemaru and Slowbro, which is definitely an annoying lead, but I think the Cloister lead ends up being pretty nice, despite for based on what they led. So here I just go for the fake out to Togedemaru. There's a good chance that it's going to protect, but not that big a deal. And we go for the pin missile into the Slowbro, because this should do very good damage to the Slowbro. So we get the fake off out, and we do pretty good damage. We flinch, which luckily for us they didn't protect. And here we do pin missiles, and honestly the pin missile looks like it's doing a little bit less than I was expecting. Like I said, I was expecting this to be doing closer to like 70%, 80%, and it looks like it did about 60%. And so it looks like it's probably a little bit physically bulky. And in addition to that, they're able to set up an iron defense, which makes this very annoying to deal with. And so I decided to go for the throw drop and the pin missile into the Slowbro. I'm debating whether or not I want to go for the double up into Slowbro, and whether or not I think this pin missile kills. So 60%, divided by 2, it's gonna do maybe around 30%. So there's a it seems like it can survive. However, it should be at very low HP, and I don't want to deal with the protect. The throw shot just barely misses out on the Togedemaru kill, which is really sad, because they're able to get a nuzzle off and paralyze my Cloister. And however, luckily for me, I don't get the full para, and I'm able to get another pin missile off. And here we see that it looks like it's gonna be just close, hard to tell. So that's the third one. We get the fourth one, and it looks like it's just gonna be short, and it ends up being just short. Sadly for us, not only is it short, they also get the slack up off, and so I definitely regret my decision to not double up into the Slowbro that last turn. And so now, I decided to just go for the throw chop there, and I am thinking about switching out into one of these two Mons, because then I can get some special coverage into it, despite it being at +1. And I decide on going to Mr. Rhyme because it can take a possible body press that would go into the cloister spot here. So we end up bringing out this Mr. Rhyme, and we are able to get that throw chop off into the Slowbro, which does very good damage despite it being at +2. And the Iron Head goes into the Weavile, bringing it down to its Focus Sash. And so with here, we also get the Slowbro off, gets another Slack off, getting a pretty high HP. So this Slowbro is definitely annoying, and I definitely kind of regret my decision to not double up the turn it first setup. So here I am expecting Togedemaru to go for Protect, the Spiky Shield. I don't want my Weavile to die to it, and so I had to go for an Icy Wind, which should kill a Togedemaru if it does if it doesn't Spiky Shield. However, it does, and so I don't die from going for a Throat Shot in that spot, which is definitely nice. And with the Weavile, Icy Wind doesn't do pretty much anything into this Slowbro, but it does lower its speed, which, yeah, it doesn't probably do much. So we go for the Freeze Dry into the Slowbro, which annoyingly for me, they have a Yachi Berry, which reduces its damage by in half, and I do not deal huge damage at all to that. However, they do go for just the body press into the Mr. Rhyme, who takes that reasonably well. So here I decided to just go for the kill on the Togedemaru. Or I considered going for I killed the Togedemaru, and then I just go for the Freeze Dry into the Slowbro. It looks like there's a chance it kills, but it's definitely not positive. I think this is another turn that I might have just been better at just doubling up into the Slowbro. But we are able to kill the Togedemaru here, and the Freeze Dry is going to do pretty good damage into the Slowbro, where we're able to get it all the way back down to basically like 1 HP. However, it slacks off again, getting back up to about 50%. And so definitely could see a justification to doubling up there. I think maybe even Icy Wind might have been better, because I think Icy Wind would have killed the Togedemaru, and that extra chip might have actually been enough to kill it. However, now Slowbro is really annoying, and I don't really have a great way to break it if I don't kill it soon. And so here I decided to just go for the double up onto the Slowbro to kill it. I'm very concerned with Turtonator, but with the Akaberry on Mr. Rhyme, I should take an attack. And with Togedemaru gone, my entire team should outspeed their entire team. And so we get the Slow Chop, which does very good damage into the Slowbro. And the Freeze Dry also goes there, and we're able to finally kill the Slowbro, which we probably should have killed on turn 2 with the double up. So definitely a little bit annoying. The Heat Wave ends up double connecting, finishing off our Weavile, and however, Mr. Rhyme is able to take it with the berry. And so here I decided to bring out the Auroras. This does a couple things. Does a little bit of Hell Chip. It also gives me a little bit of Ice Body recovery if they go for some Protects. However, they bring out Graplock, which is definitely the worst case scenario for a Mon to see in front of my Aurora, since it threatens to one-shot it. And so here, though, I do feel pretty comfortable, because I think that Aurora should take anything from Turtonator, and the Psychic into the Graplock from Mr. Rhyme does massive damage. So I just go for the Blizzard and the Psychic, because the Blizzard, I think, does the most damage, and that double up has a good chance to kill Graplock, and it can get a little chip on Turtonator. However, Turtonator just goes for Protect here, and Graplock goes for a Sucker Punch, which I definitely wasn't expecting right here, and it ends up killing the Mr. Rhyme. There's a chance that I maybe could have switched out the Mr. Rhyme there, and if I was reading the Sucker Punch, but I definitely think it was fine. And we're able to do reasonable damage to Graplock, but Graplock definitely looks like it is AV based on how much damage that did. And so now we have Cloyster out, and sadly though, Cloyster is paralyzed, and it definitely makes this end game a little bit tricky, because I think the obvious play for me to do here would just be Protect to bait a close combat or other fighting move into the Aurora spot, and then go for an Icicle Spear into Graplock, finishing off. However, that's a pretty risky play if I get fully paralyzed. And so I'm debating on just going for just attack on both of these. um, where and which, if I go for the attack on both of them, it should definitely kill the grapple up, do a little bit of damage to Turtonator. Um, and so hopefully, and also punishes an attack of Graplock into the Cloister. So the Blizzard does pretty good damage. It gets a crit on Graplock and freezes Turtonator. The freeze is huge. Close combat ends up going into the Auroras, killing it unsurprisingly. And so now I'm feeling great. However, if if I get paralyzed or if they thaw this turn, I'm in pretty bad shape. They don't thaw, which makes me very happy because this Icicle Spear kills here. Um, the crit on the Graplock ended up not mattering much because the Icicle Spear definitely would have killed even without the crit. However, that freeze was massive because I don't take 2 heat waves from this range. I don't guarantee it. I guarantee take 2 heat waves at max HP. So this extra little chip would have been the difference if they didn't get freeze here. However, this time I just need to make sure I don't get fully paralyzed. I should take any attack from them. I'm trained to take an overheat. However, they do not thaw, and I do not get fully paralyzed, and the Icicle Spear is able to get the kill. And with this, we're able to get a 2-0 win, and I'm able to get my 3rd win of the season, going 3-2 right now. I'm really excited. This is definitely one of the better starts I've had in the VDL history. However, I definitely think I got really lucky in that end game. I think I probably should have ended up protecting the Auroras the turn I went for the Blizzard, but I got bailed out because I got the freeze on the Turtonator. They had my opponent had some really good sets, and they had some nice plays, but I think I was able to just squeak it out with a little bit of luck. I think, and also I think had a little bit of team advantage because they did not have a lot of ice resists. But with that, I hope y'all enjoyed. Thank you for watching, and I'll see y'all next time.